This is an interesting Yersa Kedesh. And it talks about Tefillah versus Torah. We all know that there's different levels of Torah and different levels of Tefillah. Torah Shalei Lishma it's not. It doesn't go Le'elam and Shimsha. Torah Stam it's Bakar Akiyin. Torah with Kavanah goes to the Elamis. And Al Derech Zeh Tefillah. But he's going to bring out in this Yersa Kedesh in certain pratim there's Milas and Tefillah over Torah. And in other pratim, there's milas in Torah over Tefillah. Kuntes Achren, Kufna Dalar Amid Aleph. And in certain pratim, there's milas in Tefillah over Torah. And close, I'll tell you what the Nekud is going to be. Since Torah is limud, Torah is learning. If you're learning Torah, you're not paying attention, you're not doing anything. So therefore, when a person learns Torah, there's always going to be at least the aspect of kavanah, of understanding. When a person's davening, the ikar davening is the connection to the Eibishter. So it's possible that they should be distracted in the middle of davening. So in this way, Torah has a certain advantage over Tefillah, that there's no such thing as Torah without kavanah on the intellectual level. On the other hand, when you're davening, the kavanah of davening is l'shamayim. It's not for you. It's for the Eibishter. And when you're learning, forget, you could learn and understand, and you're doing it for yourself. So there's different milas in Tefillah over Torah and different milas in Torah over Tefillah. And on this basis, the Alter Rebbe is going to answer some stidus and Zayir and Kabbalah about the ideas of Torah and Tefillah ascending upwards. So we begin like this. It says in Arizal, if you learn Torah without Kavanah, Nivroim Malachim Be'elam HaYetzirah, you create Malachim in the world of Yetzirah. V'shamhevi me'azer pashashlach, he brings a Zayat. The lace color the is avid v'chuli. There is no voice that's lost. Bar color de eraisa utzleisa. Besides for the voice of Torah and davening, the salak ubaka v'chuli that ascends and breaks through, and so forth. So when a person learns Torah that kavanah, it creates malachim and yitzir. V'hinei mikavanas atfilah, as opposed to the kavanah of tefillah, nivru malachim be'elam abriya. You create malachim be'elam abriya kumei mikavanas atera, just like kavanas atera. So we know that davening with kavanah is the same thing as learning Torah with kavanah. Here's the question. Ubalei kavanah, however, if a person davens without kavanah, nitchis lemata legamri, it's pushed completely down into this world. It says in Zayat, in the place of the lower heaven, the iknin, slicin, psilon, where you can find unfit, puzzle, tefillas, and so forth. V'ayin cham pashas v'yakal afresh aleph amid beis ihi milakad kiyayis v'chuli, whether the davening is appropriate or the davening is not appropriate. So the Rebbe is asking a question: if davening with kavanah and Torah with kavanah go to the same place, how come Torah b'li kavanah creates malachim and yitzira, and tefillah b'li kavanah is nitchis lamata? Just like they're the same with kavanah, they should be the same without kavanah. So the Rebbe answers. You understand the question? The distinction between Torah without kavanah and davening with kavanah is very simple. The very definition of learning Torah is that that you understand what you're learning. So even if you have no kavanah, but it's not the pshat you're doing nothing, you're understanding the Eibishter's Torah chachma intellectually. Because otherwise you wouldn't even call it learning altogether. The issue is only you're learning and you're understanding what you're learning. But there's no kavanah doing it for the sake of the Torah, for the sake of the Eibishter, out of love Hashem in the person's heart. In a revealed way. So on a conscious level, your kavanah is to understand. And there's no conscious feeling, sentiment of Hashem and Yiras Hashem. There is, of course, a hidden love in your learning Torah, because you have an neshama, and mitzad your neshama, you umar alakus always. So when you're learning Torah, shlei b'kavanah, I suppose you would add, since it's not a kavanah shlilas, lekantet, so there's the kavanah associated with understanding it alone. Okay? As I just said before, you're not learning shalei lishma mamish to make yourself great and so forth. Because when a person learns Torah shalei lishma mamish, in other words, with negative intentions for his own gaiva and so forth, it doesn't ascend out of Asiyah, it doesn't go outside of the sphere of the sun. This is mentioned in Tanya, I think, Reish Perek Mem, and there's a Hagah over there. V'hainu mishum And the reason why, when you learn Teda, and the kavanah of learning Teda is lizgadol bo, to make yourself great, it doesn't leave a sea at all. The fact that you're thinking and intending to use the Teda for your own purposes, become garments for the letters of speech that you're learning Teda with, and they don't permit it to ascend upwards. So in Teda you have three madregas. Teda with a proper kavanah goes to Bria. Teda where you're learning, and you don't have a negative kavanah, but you have no positive kavanah, stam, you're learning to understand. It creates malachim and el mayitzira. Now I keep emphasizing malachim and el mayitzira because I'm not sure that that's a neshama. It's not the alakus of yitzira. It's malachim of yitzira. But at least it's yitzira. Davening, lizgadol remains. It remains an asiyah. I'm sorry, Teda to make yourself great remains an asiyah. By tefillah it's only two madregas. It seems. Tefillah l'shma goes till Bria, and tefillah stam, tefillah without kavanah, remains in asiyah. So Alter Rebbe's question is, what's the reason for the difference in Teda and tefillah? So he answers the Teda part, because we're talking about Teda stam. Teda stam, you are intellectual kavanah you have, you just don't have bittul kavanah. There's no negative kavanah. Says the Rebbe v'achanami b'tefillah shlei b'kavanah. When a person davens without kavanah, so v'achanami b'tefillah shlei b'kavanah, the same is true when you're davening without kavanah, because you're thinking bad thoughts. Rabbi say, the difference between a bad davening and a bad learning is a bad davening is nothing. You're thinking other thoughts. A bad learning, you're thinking seichel ha'Torah. You're just not thinking bittul to the Eibush. This is why stam limud ha'Torah goes up, creates malachim and yitzira, and stam tefillah remains in asiyah because you're not doing anything. Parenthesis, ella, however. You should know there's another aspect. And the other aspect is that mipnei shekavanasi l'shamayim. Davening, on the other hand, has another mila. When you're davening, it's when a person starts up to daven, he's thinking, I'm doing this for the Eibush, he's not doing this for his ego. Then his mind wanders. But there's a certain prat in tefillah which at least has the same mile of Teda. The purpose you're reading these words is l'shamayim. And therefore, yesh atikim bakal, it's relatively easy to correct. To return and raise it up. If you will then later daven makavana, even one davening, miluketes, by collecting it, mitfilas kalashana, from all the davening of the whole year, like it says in other Kabbalah Sfarim, that if during the course of the year you daven each piece of the tefillah once with the proper kavana, it's mile all your tefillahs, because your kavana b'derech is l'shamayim. So we understand why Torah stam is better than tefillah stam. But we understand that on the other hand, in tefillah there is this nakuda of kavanah shel shamayim, and therefore it's relatively easy to pick up. Okay, this was the shir of Chavches Marchesh. Okay. If you learn Torah with your seichel, and it's not leis gadol, but it creates malachim and yitzira, yes. Yes, you have to do tshuva. If you're bad kavanah, you have to do tshuva. You have to look inside the Tanya. He discusses it very, very clearly. The end of Lamed Tes Perek Mem. If you learn Teda lizgadol bo for a negative intent, you create the klipa, and for the klipa part, you have to do tshuva. However, once you do tshuva, Teda is a lakus and cannot be contaminated. So after you do tshuva for the lizgadol bo, you can raise up the Teda. Now, if you didn't do it with a negative kavanah, the end of Perek Lamed Tes. If you had stam kavanah, all you have to do is learn it over again with Ahavas Hashem and Yiras Hashem, and it's Parcha L'Yela. Right, that's right. They go into the Esesfiras of Bria. Okay, now.